Hello, everybody. So, like a lot of us that are collecting the G.I. Joe classified line, I've been thinking a lot about what vehicles might be coming down the pike. Now, yeah, I've made a couple videos about this already in the past, but I've recently been thinking a lot more about, well, what G.I. Joe team flying vehicles might we see coming up, kind of to counter the Cobra flight pod that we've had announced that I have up on the screen right now. So I know a lot of folks have been thinking about or really wanting to see a Skyhawk. I'm kind of in that same boat. I think that is a classic vehicle. I think it fits kind of right in there on what I would imagine the size of vehicles we might see come out as regular releases at some point. However, I don't really see vehicles at that size coming out in the next year or so, and I would imagine that they would want to put some kind of G.I. Joe team vehicle out to kind of balance out the scales a little bit, because right now for G.I. Joe we have the Ram Cycle and we have the Tiger Force Ram Cycle. On the Cobra side, however, we have that coil bike that came with the Baroness, and clearly the Hiss tank will be coming out next year. And then we were told about the Trouble Bubble that's coming out. Plus, for those of us who might be lucky enough to actually get one, we're going to have the Air Chariot. So currently, at least as of what we know is coming and what we already have, Cobra has a coil bike, his tank, so 2 land vehicles, and 2 flying vehicles. They're small flying vehicles. So I would imagine we are going to see more vehicles come out for the G.I. Joe team. But, and I know I've gone on a while in this build up, but what vehicles might we see from the G.I. Joe team if they do that in the next year or so that are more on scale with a Trouble Bubble, right? So, like I do, I was scrolling through yojo.com looking at the index here, or database, whatever we want to call it. Yeah, the database. Looking at vehicles. And I thought, I'd really like to change the way I'm looking at this, because for the longest while, I would really think, when I'm thinking about G.I. Joe flying vehicles, I'm thinking about the Sky Striker, I'm thinking about Dragonfly, and I'm not really considering some other stuff. So here's one, Falcon, that I think is maybe on the bottom of the list. This is something that I think they could do as a G.I. Joe small, easy to get out to market flying vehicle, but I don't really see them doing this because it just seems a little too simple, or maybe a little, I don't know what word I'm looking for right off the top, a little hokey, maybe kind of silly, even though it's all a little, it's all a little outlandish when we really look at it. I mean, look at this thing. I don't see just as an aside, I don't see the Fang being a very practical weapon vehicle. So G.I. Joe is known, in my opinion, for having some kind of over the top or maybe not super practical vehicles. Anyway, tangent over. As I'm going through the various waves here that came out in the past, and then here's an obvious one, the Sky Striker, but like I said, I think this might be a little bigger than what they're trying to do. So anyway, back to the point. As I'm going through, I'm thinking, well, maybe they could do something like Cobra Claw, but doing more you know, G.I. Joe labeled. Then I thought, no, if they're going to do a Cobra Claw, that mold, they'll do it for Cobra. Now this is about the same scale as Skyhawk, but this is something that I could see them doing, though. They could also do it in the Sky Shark version, which would be interesting. Again, I think something like this is more a little bit further out, so I had to rein myself back in. I'm looking for small vehicles that are kind of on scale with the Trouble Bubble. So I'll save you going through each year here, and I'm just going to pop into a couple spots where I found some vehicles that I think get close and are really cool, and I think they could be great in the line, and then I'll end on the one that I think is the best option. So I might have to jump around a little bit because I might not remember each year off the top very well. All right, good job. Skysweeper Jet. I think this would be an awesome vehicle to bring out in the classified line. It's not super big. It looks great. It's from I think it's the same year Kamakura was out. I don't remember. But look at it. I happen to think that this would be perfect for G.I. Joe Classified. And I think it's getting close to the size of the Trouble Bubble. Might be a little bit more plastic in this. And it would be a great opportunity to get us a figure like I never liked these broad shoulder molds, but regardless, a version of somebody like Airborne, or maybe even Ace or Wild Bill or somebody like that. As an aside, let's go back. Oh, shoot. This is a good possibility. Now, in a previous video, I mentioned if they were to come out with Hawk, they should do something along the lines of his General Hawk with the jetpack and the kind of flight suit looking model. I also mentioned maybe it would come with that jump jetpack. But if they use something more like this Air Assault, that could be a good deluxe figure. It would be kind of in line with previous versions we've seen of him before. However, they wanted to do the outfit, you know, maybe they give him some kind of blend between his most common outfit with the camouflage pants and helmet or whatever, and that more flight suit astronaut looking thing. I don't know. They could come up with something. But this would be a great answer to Flight Pod. Even better, even though I really would like to see Hawk come out with something like this, pack it with some kind of green shirt. So these were all really great. I feel like something like this would work too. It's also kind of a smaller scale jet type situation. But I think I might have jumped to the wrong year. You know, I think that something like a Dragonfly isn't very likely. However, and I'm off topic here because this is definitely a big thing. This is not in response to a Flight Pod or coming out anytime soon. I just wanted to go here to mention that I think they could do this as a HasLab. I know it has big, long blades. It's long, but I think it's possible. But I wouldn't put my money on it. I actually have a different idea for what I think the most likely HasLab is going to be. But I do want to look at one more thing real quick. I want to go back to the Sky Striker. So here's another cool idea I think for Sky Striker. Not that, and I'm all over the place in this video, so sorry about that. But if they do, or when they do come out with a Sky Striker, if they went ahead and packed it with Steel Brigade characters, my thinking is that gives us some kind of army builders for the G.I. Joe team. They could sell like your Wild Bills or your Airborns or whoever is known to be like some kind of pilot. They could sell them single regular release, and that frees you up to buy as many of these Skyhawks. And I'd probably want to do the green one, honestly, but I just wanted to show this. That frees up to buy as many of these Skyhawks as you want, and each Skyhawk you get an army builder, and you can just have whoever you want fly the Skyhawks. I think that would be a really cool idea. Okay, now, what do I think is the best option for a response to the flight pod for the G.I. Joe team? Well, from the title card or the thumbnail, you probably already know, and now I'm drawing a blank on what year that thing was in. All right, here it is. Locust. Now, this thing is really cool looking. Came out in 1990. It's about the same size as the flight pod, except it has helicopter blades. I think this is the perfect thing for the G.I. Joe team to come out with in the next year or so, around right after the flight pod comes out or whatever. And I also think with this one, the best move is to pack it with some kind of green shirt or Steel Brigade or something like that, because I definitely plan on buying more than one flight pod. If they came out with this thing with a G.I. Joe team army builder, I would definitely buy more than one of these as well. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. But through my through my way of thinking, I think this Locust is the move. They should just go with it. Listen, they should watch this video and go with it. Okay, before I really end the video though, I want to give an honorable mention, and this is off topic from where we started. Even though I've been bouncing around quite a bit, this one is even more off topic, and I'm probably gonna have a hard time remembering the year. So this is an honorable mention, and it's not on the Joe team. Okay, I had to edit that a little bit. Computer was doing some weird stuff. Anyway, honorable mention, not for the Joe team, but the Firebat. This is a flying vehicle for Cobra that I think they could totally do on its own. Doesn't need the Terrordrome. They could put it out with this character, and that's another one where you could kind of army build some flying vehicles, because it's not a super big thing. I think this is more plastic than the Trouble Bubble. It's a little bit more plastic than I think the Locust would be. I think it's probably getting right there along the same scale as like a Skyhawk. And really, at the 6-inch scale, I would be okay with flying vehicles topping out at the size of, say, Firebat and Skyhawk. And I could see, at least for me in my display, having maybe a Firebat and a Skyhawk and a couple Trouble Bubbles and a couple Locusts. I think that would look really cool. So, all right, I'm going to leave it there. Leave me your thoughts in the comments, and let me know if you think I'm way off base here, or if these are some okay ideas, or what have you. All right, until next time.